with our esteemed legal panel. We have Carl Schusterman, Chris Musello, and Jacob Sapachnik joining us today. And we're very excited to get started. It's Friday, so it must be Friday Facebook Live. We are doing these Facebook Live sessions once a month. And the reason for the sessions is to help many of you with your questions about coming to the US. We know that it's been a long struggle for you. Many of you have come from the Philippines to Canada. It's been a very frustrating journey where you're not able to work as an RN. You maybe wrote the NCLEX many years ago. You need to take the IELTS, the visa screen. There are just so many questions and so many immigration questions that we know you have for our esteemed legal panel. So we're going to get started right away. So as we're talking, if you are watching, please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and where you are, where you're calling in from. I'm going to start off with a quick introduction of the three lawyers on our panel. We have Carl Schusterman, who has been an attorney for 40 years. He is one of the very limited number of attorneys who've been designated as certified specialists in immigration and naturalization law by the California State Bar. For more than 10 years, he's been voted as one of the best lawyers in America and a super lawyer by his colleagues at the bar. He was featured in 2018 Super Lawyer magazine, been named one of the top 15 corporate lawyers in the US. His work has earned him the highest rating in legal ability and ethics from the prestigious Martindale-Hubbell Legal Directory. He's listed in the International Who's Who of Corporate Immigration Lawyers and the Chamber US Guide for Leading Business Lawyers. So we have Carl. Hi, Carl. Then we also have Chris Musello, who is joining us from Cincinnati. He is a managing partner of Musello Unkenholt and moderator of La Fora, has been an immigration lawyer since graduating from the University of Cincinnati of Law in 1998, specializes in healthcare. His client base is wide-ranging, including the largest healthcare companies in the US, as well as entrepreneurial startups. His written work has been featured in the American Immigration Lawyers Association publication, the Cincinnati Bar Report, Worldwide ERC Mobility, and a variety of online publications. And he's been selected as a speaker at many national and international conferences. He co-created the Coalition to Improve Healthcare Staffing and Advocacy nonprofit entity. And he served as the CTIHS first president, a role he held from 2005 to 2015. And the list goes on and on. Whoop. And last but not least, we have Jacob Sapachnik. Jacob is the managing attorney of the law offices of Jacob J. Sapachnik and is an active member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. He's been invited to lecture on immigration law and various topics in the United States. He's published various articles. He provides immigration support to immigration clients worldwide. And he assists foreign workers to live and work in the United States by understanding their situation, goals, and objectives. He's a founder of Find Jobs USA. He has been quoted and featured by numerous newspapers, TV outlets, CNN, ESPN, NBC News, ABC, Fox, ABBA Journal, KPBS, to name a few. And he's written articles for publications in North America. He's a pioneer in social media engagement in the legal world. And he graduated from Manchester Metropolitan University of Law with a Bachelor of Law honors degree. So we have everybody, the real deal here, the real immigration experts who are waiting to take your questions. So thank you to everybody who has sent in questions. I'm going to be asking the panel questions that you've sent in, but feel free to post your additional questions into the chat box, and I will ask them as we go through them. So the first question that we have is about the presidential proclamation. I'm not sure if everybody knows what the presidential proclamation is, and maybe one of our panel can just briefly discuss what that is. We know that it has been on hold, but the question is, First of all, if you can tell us a little bit about it, and then also, will it affect anybody coming on a TN visa? So, Carl, if you want to maybe take the first question. Hello? Carl, can you hear me? Oh, I think we have a little glitch. Jacob or Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you, Tanya.
I can hear you.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about the presidential proclamation and if that will affect TN nurses if it comes into effect?
Yeah, so the proclamation came out about
Jacob?
40 days ago. Can you hear me, Tanya?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah, Chris is talking right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tanya, can you hear me? So,
Yeah.
I can hear you, Chris.
Right. So
We
the
seem to have a little technical hitch.
Hmm.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah. We can.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So do
Can
you want to
you
go
hear
ahead
me?
and...
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can.
I know Jacob can. Tanya, can you hear me?
You want to go ahead and answer that question?
Sure. So the presidential proclamation came out in early October,
Oh, goodness.
and the first thing is it does not impact TN cases at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
But you can't hear us, I think.
I can't see or hear Tanya, but I can hear Jacob and Chris.
Okay. So, and everybody else can hear. So if you want to.
Oh, there goes Tanya. Well,
Yeah.
while we're waiting for Tanya to log back, I'll go ahead and talk about the proclamation. So the proclamation came out in October, and it was supposed to go into effect November 3rd. And even if it were to go into effect, it would not affect TN. It's only for green card appointments. And the short version of the situation is that the green card applicant must prove to the immigration officer at the time of the green card interview that he or she will obtain U.S. health insurance within 30 days of entering the United States. And for most folks obtaining a nursing immigrant visa, that would be working with the employer to bring documentation to the visa interview to show that they will have that health insurance within 30 days.
Right. And so again, it's important to understand that it affects only people coming into the U.S., not people in the U.S. that are applying for green cards. That's a big confusion that the people have right now. And currently, this is on hold because of there was an injunction to put it on hold for now.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, for clearing that up. So I think for now we can scratch that off the worry list.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question from Jadex, who is asking for a friend. Her friend is supposed to fly to Florida was supposed to fly to Florida last Tuesday under the TN visa, but she wasn't allowed and got questioned about her offer of employment, signed and sent electronically by an employer. On her part, documentation-wise, everything is okay. Is it considered refusal already? Her employer is now working on it again to make sure she's good to fly the second time. Another thing, she was instructed to come for her letter and onboarding, and it will come just as a visitor Canadian, and we'll give a red flag to the U.S. immigration. Okay, so this is a long question. So I think there are two parts to Jadex's question. One is that Jadex has a friend who I think it sounds like did not have the correct letter when they crossed the border to get their TN. Jacob, do you maybe want to just talk a little bit about the TN letter?
Sure.
Because it sounds like Jadex's friend didn't have the correct letter.
Right. So, typically in TN cases, they want to see an original letter. They want to see the original signature of the employer. They don't want to see anything on an email. It looks like she brought an electronic version of it. And so they basically refuse her entry. So it's not, sometimes they would just let them withdraw and send them back. So that's important to know if it was a denial or withdrawal on the spot. But typically, the first thing we always tell our clients is they must have original documents, specifically the letter of employment, the offer, And so and then her second question is if she can come as a tourist a second day or the next day. So I think she can come as a tourist as long as she's honest about what happened the previous day and explain that she needs to go back there to take care of things. So I don't think there's an issue to come back again.
Okay. Crystal, Carl, any additional advice to Jadex's friend?
No, I think Jacob
Yeah.
covered all the big points. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I think, we work with many clients all over the US, and sometimes the hospitals themselves are not 100% sure of exactly the format of how to structure that TN letter. So, it's important as the nurse to educate yourself, and that's the purpose of a Facebook Live session like what we're doing now, is to educate yourself that there is a specific TN format that the client needs to provide for you in its original format so that you can take that to the border. And I think, as Jacob said, honesty is always the best policy.
Yeah. And Tanya, one thing I want to add, and it's not specific for nurses, but I've noticed we do a lot of TN cases at the Mexican border, who are Canadians as well, who get their visas on the Mexican border. And we've seen an increase in denials, specifically management consultants and technologists. And I don't know about you guys, but we've seen an increase in overall TN denials, but not specific for nurses.
Carl or Chris, would you say that you've also seen an increase in denials?
I haven't seen an increase, but in this administration, just generally across the board, we've seen increases in denials. And the management consultant, a lot of Canadians, almost every TN occupation, and there's, I don't know, about 60 of them, almost everyone requires some kind of college degree, except for the management consultant. So companies that want to hire Canadians as management and they don't have degrees will frequently use that category. And now they're getting tougher on what it means to be a management consultant.
Okay. Yeah, I personally have not seen an increase in denials on TNs for nurses. We have thousands of nurses that come through for our clients. And, we haven't seen that at all, but, it is something to consider for maybe other occupations. We have a question that was sent to me directly from Michael. Michael has asked, he is working in the US on a TN visa, and he wanted to know if he can study, and if so, does he have to apply for an F1?
Oh, so, each temporary visa, TNs, F1s, they're all alphabetical and they're all individual. So anybody on a temporary working visa, including a TN, can also study. They don't want to get an F1 because if they get an F1, then they can't work. They can only study. But with a working visa, if you want to study on the side, as long as you keep working on your job that sponsored you for a TN, you should be fine to study as well.
Okay, so there you go, Michael. And we also have a question from Bella. So Bella is in a same-sex marriage and wanted to know if her spouse can come through on the TD visa. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like any other marriage, your spouse and your kids, unmarried and under 21, can all come to the U.S. on TD visas. It's a non-working visa, but it does allow you to go to school or, whatever you want to do except work. If you want to work, you'll have to get a TN or some other type of visa.
Okay. So there you go, Bella. Rosalind actually sent through a related question. Her question is, Rosalind was born in the Philippines. She is now a Canadian citizen, and she is coming through to the US on a TN. Her husband is going to be coming with her on a TD visa. He was also born in the Philippines. And she is asking that if she comes through and after a few months she decides to have her employer do a green card for her, how long before she and her spouse get the EAD card if she has no previous petitions? I know the visa bulletin is volatile, but if we say like kind of right now, how long. I think Rosalind says she's been there for a few months, so she likes it and she wants to stay.
Yeah, so that's good news that she likes it here.
Yes.
Assuming the company is moving properly in terms of getting the I-140 prepared, as soon as that I-140 is eligible to be filed under the current visa bulletin, she can file an adjustment of status, but that changes almost every month. But if they file an adjustment of status, then the EAD card normally comes 90 to 120 days thereafter.
So from the beginning to the end, Chris, I mean, I don't know how long she's been here, but she's saying a few months. So if she's been here for a few months and the hospital files for her today, how long would it take for the spouse to get his EAD card?
Yeah, so it's important to differentiate when we say files today. If the hospital does not have a prevailing wage determination, the prevailing wage determination alone is taking about 4 months. And then the employer also has to post notice. Now, in some instances, you can post notice while you're waiting for the PWD. But in other instances, that notice you have to wait, depending on what the wage is on that PWD. So even if today she went to the hospital and said, I would like to start the green card, and even if tomorrow the hospital filed the prevailing wage determination, that prevailing wage determination is not going to be certified until, mid-March.
Yeah.
And then assuming the notice posting had been done at the same time, then in mid-March, she could file, or she and the hospital could file an I-140 and an I-485. So then it would be another 3 or 4 months after March before the EAD would be approved. So that would be something like late summer, I guess, of next year.
Okay. All right. So that gives Rosalind a good idea of when her spouse will be able to work.
Yeah. Well, one last point now that I'm thinking about it, Tanya. On the other hand, if the employer regularly hires nurses and files for their green cards, then the employer may already have that prevailing wage determination done and that notice posting done, in which case she would not have to wait till March to file. She could file probably later in November.
Okay. So Rosalind, that's the question that you need to find out from your employer if they have done the prevailing wage already, because that's going to make a significant difference to your processing time. We have a question, and everybody, feel free, those that are watching, feel free to post questions as well. I'm just taking the questions that were sent to me directly in the meantime. So we have a question from Karina. Karina asked, is there...
Oh, we just lost her.
Yeah, lost Tanya.
You don't see her? Oh.
No.
Yeah.
I think she's back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And we lost you for a minute.
We're having some technical issues today. Okay, well, can you all hear me now?
Trump is interfering with this broadcast.
Okay, so the next question is from Karina. So Karina is asking, is there validity on the application of the NVC? What if the applicant already reached the 1 year since she paid the fee bill and wasn't able to attend her interview embassy? So Karina, I think, has that 1 year with the NVC. It seems like she's extended the 1 year. So she's asking what happens if she wants to go back and recapture her case.
Yeah. So the first thing is I'd probably get the lawyer involved. Ordinarily, if the law firm continues to contact the NVC will not close that case. That's the good news. The bad news is increasingly the NVC is cutting off communication channels for folks. I know this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I think the NVC held an open forum for immigration attorneys. And so I'm waiting to see the notes on that. I did not attend, although I believe one of the attorneys around here did attend. So, and I know one of the main topics that the American Immigration Lawyers Association was concerned with is that the channels of communication to the National Visa Center seem to have closed in the last few months. So, so that's really the answer. Short answer. if you can keep in contact with the NVC, traditionally they're willing to keep that case open.
Okay. In other words, Karina, you need to consult with your lawyer to see the next steps on your case. We have a question from Preet, who is asking if she gets married on a TN, how does that work?
Well,
I think she must be working. She doesn't say, but I think she must be working in the US.
So married to a US citizen or just married to a foreign person?
She doesn't say. I think it might be a Canadian, but she doesn't say.
So we can say both options. If they marry Canadian, then they can get a TD visa, right, to be their spouse, to come and stay, but they won't be able to work. And if she means a US citizen, then she can switch from the TN to a green card if she does an adjustment.
Okay.
But I think that's what she meant.
Yeah. So if Jacob, if Lapreet is marrying a Canadian, does she have to then go back to the border so that her spouse can get the TD?
So it's advisable so they can actually travel, so they can get their documents at the border, just so they can do that. So they have a free entry back and forth. It's just the easiest thing for Canadians to do it at the port of entry.
Okay. All right. So congrats to Lapreet on her wedding. Tom has just posted a question. Can a permanent resident in Canada be eligible to apply for a TN?
Unfortunately, it does not work that way. You have to be a citizen of Canada, not a permanent resident.
Yeah. So Tom, there's the answer to your question. Just to share though with you, Tom, we do have candidates where they are permanent residents, and we have some clients that will sponsor for a green card. So it doesn't mean to say that if you can't come through on the TN that that you wouldn't be able to come through on the green card. We have a question from Jean, who is asking about renewal of the TN. She wants to know if she should cross the border before it expires, and the best way to go about the renewal.
So at the port of entry, at the border, they can do the extension right there. So she should just bring in her extension documents the next time she's going to enter the United States. And if she's near the end of her TN term, they will just issue her an additional extension.
And can she do it, like how long before should she do it, Chris?
I would just time it the next time she's going to enter the United States. It really doesn't matter if she does it before it expires or after it expires. Either way, every time she makes an entry, they theoretically look at these documents.
Okay. All right. We have a question also from Ala. So this is a question that we've actually got quite a bit. It seems that Ala was born in Iran, which is one of the countries that are on the ban by the current administration.
Oh, we lost her again.
Oh, Tanya. She's back.
Oh, there she
Tanya?
is.
Hi.
Are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It was just a temporary buzz. I don't know why it's only you.
And I'm the one asking the questions, so I'm not going to get very far without the questions. So the question was from Ala. Ala was born in Iran, and she wants to know, as one of the countries that is on the travel ban, if she would be eligible to apply for TN.
Well, so she would, because I assume she's a dual national of Iran and Canada. So there is an exception to the travel ban if you're on one of the travel ban countries, but you're a citizen of a country that's not on the travel ban. So the happy answer for her is yes, she could get a TN.
Oh, so she could get in. But how would it work, Carl, if she comes in on a TN, she's here for a year or so, and she decides that she loves it and she wants to stay? Would she be able to get sponsored for a green card?
She would. She would. So, yeah. So remember, there's a couple of things. Remember that the travel ban only applies to people outside the U.S. who are trying to get in. I have lots of Iranian clients that are in the U.S. and let's say they marry a U.S. citizen. The travel ban does not stop them from getting a green card. However, if they were married to a citizen and the citizen flew out to Iran and got married to them, it would be very difficult. They would have to get a waiver of the travel ban to come into the U.S. But once somebody from a travel ban country is actually physically in the U.S. and they're applying for a green card, which is called adjustment of status, the travel ban does not stop them from getting a green card. And in fact, since she's born in Iran, I mean, there's only 3 countries that have a waiting list for green cards because there's so many people applying, and it's India, very long, China, a little less, and Philippines, which is getting shorter all the time. But Iran, there's no waiting time at all. So if the hospital files an I-140 for her, she can file a 485 adjustment of status application on the very same day, and she should have a green card within a year. So actually being from Iran works to her advantage.
Wow, that's really interesting. So Ala, make sure to follow up on your application, because it seems that there is a way for you to move forward. That's good news. We are, oh my goodness, we are almost out of time. But we have our last question who comes into the chat bot. Can we work with multiple employees while on the TN? For example, casual positions. We had this question before, but if you want to go ahead and answer this question.
Yeah, so potentially you can have multiple TNs as long as you have bona fide employers and it makes sense with the hours and the position. So you can hold multiple TNs.
So Jacob, it would be a case of going across the border again. So say somebody's working on the TN in a full-time position and they get a part-time position, they would have to go to the border again and go through the same process for that part-time position?
Correct. They can do that, or they can apply in the US for an additional TN. You can apply with UCIS if they don't want to travel.
Okay.
So they can do both.
Okay, so there we go. We are out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. We want to thank our team, Chris, Carl, and Jacob. We know how busy you are, and we really appreciate your time and giving these important answers to our nurses. And I also want to thank David Salcido, the admin of this group, for giving us this opportunity. The reason why we do this is because we know that this process is very stressful and very frustrating, and we want to just shed some light and give you some information that can help you on your journey. Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend. If there are additional questions, please let us know. We will be doing this every month, so keep sending your questions, and we will make sure to get them answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So I'll try.